Part 2, a risk assessment of the boutique hotel network, BHN. Explanation of the threat in context. Threat title: Unauthorized access to Wi-Fi network. Probability: moderate. Risk severity: high. Explanation of the threat in context: probability of unauthorized individuals gaining access to the BHN Wi-Fi network. Threat title: Insider threats. Probability: low. Risk severity: moderate. Explanation of the threat in context: risk of staff members misusing their access privileges or intentionally causing harm. Threat title: Malware and ransomware. Probability: high. Risk severity: critical. Explanation of the threat in context: likelihood of malware or ransomware compromising the BHN, leading to data loss. Threat title: physical theft of devices. Probability: low. Risk severity: moderate. Explanation of the threat in context: risk of physical theft of laptops or devices within the BHN, potentially exposing data. Threat title: vulnerabilities in Linux server. Probability: moderate. Risk severity: high. Explanation of the threat in context: possibility of exploiting vulnerabilities in the Linux server, compromising stability. Threat title: data breach through email. Probability: moderate. Risk severity: high. Explanation of the threat in context: likelihood of sensitive data being compromised through email communication. Threat title: inadequate router security. Probability: high. Risk severity: critical. Risk of unauthorized access or attacks due to inadequately secured routers. Threat title: lack of regular staff training. Probability: moderate. Risk severity: moderate. Probability of staff falling victim to social engineering or neglecting security best practices. Explanation: unauthorized access to Wi-Fi network. Probability: moderate. Risk severity: high. Explanation: given the nature of the hospitality industry, the BHN Wi-Fi network is a potential target for unauthorized access. If compromised, it could lead to unauthorized access to guest information and sensitive data. Insider threats. Probability: low. Risk severity: moderate. Explanation: while the likelihood of intentional harm from staff is low, the potential impact of insider threats on the BHN's integrity and guest data is a concern. Malware and ransomware. Probability: high. Risk severity: critical. Explanation: with the integration of various devices and servers, the BHN is highly susceptible to malware and ransomware attacks, posing a significant risk to data confidentiality and system functionality. Physical theft of devices. Probability: low. Risk severity: moderate. Explanation: while the probability of physical theft is low, the impact of losing devices with sensitive information necessitates measures to mitigate this risk. Vulnerabilities in Linux server. Probability: moderate. Risk severity: high. Explanation: the use of a Linux server introduces vulnerabilities that, if exploited, could compromise the stability and security of the BHN. Data breach through email. Probability: moderate. Risk severity: high. Explanation: email communication is a common vector for data breaches, thus, the likelihood of sensitive data being compromised through email exchanges is a notable concern. Inadequate router security. Probability: high. Risk severity: critical. Explanation: the risk of unauthorized access or attacks due to inadequately secured routers is critical, as it could lead to the compromise of the entire BHN. Lack of regular staff training. Probability: moderate. Risk severity: moderate. Explanation: without regular staff training on cybersecurity best practices, there is a moderate likelihood of staff falling victim to social engineering attacks or neglecting security measures, impacting overall network security. Cybersecurity Plan for the Boutique Hotel Network, BHN. Protection Measure 1. Strengthening Wi-Fi network security. Threats addressed. Unauthorized access to Wi-Fi network. Actions to be taken. Implement strong encryption protocols, WPA3, for the BHN Wi-Fi network. Enforce secure and unique passwords for both staff and guest access. Reasons for the actions. This action mitigates the threat of unauthorized access by enhancing the security of the Wi-Fi network. WPA3 encryption adds an additional layer of protection against potential attackers, safeguarding guest information and preventing unauthorized network intrusion. Overview of constraints. Technical constraints include ensuring all devices within the network are compatible with WPA3. Financial constraints involve the cost of upgrading or replacing outdated hardware to support the new encryption standard. Overview of legal responsibilities. Compliance with data protection laws requires securing guest information. Implementing robust encryption aligns with legal obligations to protect customer data from unauthorized access. Overview of usability of the system. Enhancing Wi-Fi security may slightly inconvenience users during the password input process, but the overall impact on usability is minimal. Guests and staff will appreciate the increased security measures in place. Cost-benefit analysis. The cost of upgrading hardware and implementing WPA3 encryption is justified by the potential financial losses and reputational damage associated with a data breach. The benefit of preventing unauthorized access and maintaining guest trust outweighs the upfront costs. Test plan. Conduct penetration testing to ensure the effectiveness of WPA3 encryption. Regularly assess network logs for any unusual access patterns or intrusion attempts. Perform user training sessions to educate staff and guests on the importance of secure passwords.